under the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources to reactivate zonal offices of the department across the state for enhanced delivery. Honorable General in Motor South, Speaker of the House, Honorable Family Media General Hussein Testimony, Honorable Way Musarai Wajo and CA the co-sponsor. The House note that forestry administration in the Western region gained prominence during the era of the Convention where structural forest reserve management was established to promote environmental sustainability and economic development. This proud legacy of structural forestry governance deserves to be sustained and built upon by successful administration in other states. Further note that forest reserve play a vital role in environmental protection, climate regulation, biodiversity conservation, and economic development. The effective management of such reserve is a constitutional obligation of the state government under Section 20 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as ordered, which mandate the state to protect and improve the environment. Aware that other states is endowed with several forest reserves, including Oluyole, Ijaye, Inaki, local government area. Also, Igaga, Lanate, those are in Barapa, Ogumoso, Oko, Iro, in Ogumoso, Agricultural Farm Settlement in Ogumoso, Olasende, Isaki, Opara, in Betty, Wewe, and Gamali, with Gamali being the most functional of all the reserves in the state. The total forest estate in Oyo State cover approximately 346.604 acres, requiring effective and sustaining management and protection. Further aware that the forestry department currently has only 83 personnel managing forestry operation across the entire state through 4 zonal offices located in Saki, Omoso, Erua, and Ibadan, Mondia, and local government area. This number is grossly inadequate relative to the size and complexity of the forest estate. A significant proportion of these officers are at or near retirement age, with many already retired from service, leaving critical operational gaps yet to be filled through fresh recruitment. Observe that over the years, many of the state forest reserves have suffered severe degradation due to illegal logging, bush burning, unregulated grazing, and encroachment by land speculators and farmers. Tree covers in some reserves are falling below 40%, while areas such as Opara Forest Reserve are reported to have less than 30% tree cover remaining, a situation which presents grave consequence for the state ecological balance and climate resilience. Further observe that the 4 existing zonal offices of forest department have become largely non-functional or seriously weakened due to inadequate staffing, poor logistics, absence of operational vehicles, and retirement of experienced lower cadre officers, including forest guard and ranger, who constituted the backbone of field operations. Without a deliberate effort to revive these zonal offices and replenish the workforce at all cadres, particularly the lower cadre responsible for day-to-day patrol, monitoring, and enforcement, the state risks losing into many forestry conveniently. Concern that the forest department is presently faced with serious operational challenges, including inadequate manpower, shortage of professional and technical staff, insufficient forest guard, lack of operational vehicle, poor logistic support, and the absence of outside allowance for field officers. Forestry here are overstretched with field personnel covering vast forest area, thereby weakening monitoring and enforcement capacities. Failure to urgently address this challenge will result in further environmental degradation, accelerated climate imbalance, and significant economic loss to the state through the depletion of timber, non-timber forest products, and ecosystem service. Further concern that continued retirement of officers from the forestry department without corresponding recruitment of replacement has created a generation gap in the workforce with institutional knowledge, field experience, and operational capacity being lost faster than they are being replenished. The lower cadre of the department, comprising forest guards, forest ranger, and technical support staff, who are most critical to physical forest protection and on-ground enforcement, resort to call the executive arm of government through the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources to initiate a structured and systematic recruitment exercise into the Oyo State Forestry Department, giving priority to the lower cadre, including forest guard, forest ranger, and technical field officer, to replace personnel who are retired from service, and to bring the total workforce of the department to a level commensurate with the scale of the forest estate under its management. And B, in collaboration with the Oyo State Civil Service Commission, to develop and implement a comprehensive manpower plan for the forest department that will provide for regular recruitment circle, career progression, pathway for forestry officers at all cadres, and the introduction of hazard allowance for field officers exposed to occupational risk during the forest patrol and enforcement duty. And C, to reactivate and strengthen the 4 existing solar offices of the forest department in Saki, Ogbomoso, Erua, and Ibadan at Monya by providing adequate staffing, operational people, logistic support, communication equipment, and nothing infrastructure necessary for effective and efficient solar management of forest reserve across the state. And D, to encourage and support the development of structured forest regeneration and restoration programs across the graded reserve in the state, with other targets for tree cover restoration, implementation timetable, and provision for community participation, particularly in reserve where cover has fallen below 40%. And 2, through revision of budget and economic planning, to make adequate budgetary provision in 2027 estimate for the equipment of forest officers, procurement of operational people, and equipment and reservoir of solar offices for forest operation. And then through the Ministry of Information and Orientation to embark on statewide sensitization and advocacy campaign on the importance of forest conservation and the danger of wood burning and the penalty for forest-related offense under existing law. And 4, to intensify enforcement against illegal logging, wood burning, encroachment, and other acts of forestry division, and to ensure forest ranger and guard are adequately equipped, protected, and supported to carry out their enforcement duties without hindrance. And 5, to constitute a special task force of forest protection comprising forest department, Oyo State Security Network Agency, Amotekun, Nigeria Police Force, and local security to combat illegal logging, encroachment, and wood burning in all forest reserves across the state. And 2, the House Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development to interface with the Forestry Department in the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources for further legislative action where necessary, including the review of relevant laws and regulations governing forestry administration in Oyo State, to ensure that legal framework adequately support the effective management and protection of the state forestry estate. And 3, the House Committee on Finance, Appropriation, and Economic Planning to investigate and audit the internally generated revenue for forest reserve in the last 5 years and report to the House in 4 weeks to ascertain leakage and ensure proceeds from timber and non-timber produce are properly accounted for. Mr. Speaker, the second please.
The insecurity we are experiencing as a state and as a nation has a lot to do with our forest reserves. It is unprecedented that the majority leader himself has to read this motion. And we have to have it in mind that the insecurity is actually touching every part of the country and each one of us as a leader from our constituencies. The engagement of more staffs should not only be the priority. Staffs that will be engaged for forests, as foresters in the states, in Nigeria now, should not only be trained, should be a little bit equipped. Because we can see cases of terrorists attacking forest officers, collecting arms from them. We are dealing with an insecurity that we never planned for. It's here to stay with us, and all hands must be on deck to face the insecurity, encroaching us from our forests, even to our towns and urban areas. So I rise this afternoon to support this motion and plead to this House that this motion has to be taken as urgent as possible, and the Committee of Environment has to do a lot of work, because if we are talking about security, our forests have to be very safe. Thank you, and God bless you.
Those in favor that the motion as presented by the leader of the House, Honorable S. Olafo,